Shooters, action-adventure, racing, role-playing. Anthropomorphic characters make up every genre and stretch through them all, especially in the 90s with the mini mascots we got. And of course, with every sequel and even new franchise, especially reboot, it seems every genre has been touched by the subject. Yet, what about the fighting genre? Bloody Roar. How did I go over 2.5 decades not knowing about this game? I'm just amazed it's fallen into such obscurity, and I had to scour the internet just to discover it. The 20th century draws to a close, the worlds of darkness of fear. However, 8 superhumans appear, also known as zoanthropes. With the ability of Raging Morph, mankind is now dependent on the claws, fang, and cunning of these savage beasts. The game is created by the now defunct Japanese company known as Hudson Soft, and among the various shooters of the time, especially that of Street Fighter II, its multiple updates, and of course Mortal Kombat, this one I have to say flew under the radar, and many would definitely classify it as a hidden gem, and I couldn't agree more. Now the character roster is made up of Wolf Yuga, Lion Gato, Gorilla Greg, Mole Bakuru, Boar Mitsuko, Rabbit Alice, and Fox Hans.
Get ready, fight!
I must say, I found very few fighting games to really get invested in, even the likes of Pokken Tournament and of course Tekken, which, besides Mortal Kombat, is the first game I ever played in the genre, and of course the first on the original PlayStation. This game released a total of 2 years before I even had access to the original PlayStation. Yeah, it was completely beyond me at the time, as I was only 11, but my brother had invested, and if only we had been able to play this game along with the others building up in his collection. Looking at it now with a fresh perspective of the 32-bit era, I really have to think of how well this would have done if it hadn't been overshadowed during that same year. The concept of every character being a werebeast and able to transform through rage and just battle each other would have really appealed to me as young as I was and as unfamiliar I am with both the genre as well as the concept of transforming within a game. To reflect on this time back in the 90s that I lovingly cherish, not having access to even the most basic of magazines, whether Nintendo Power or Game Informer, it just resonates with me so strongly. And it's incredible to look back now and realize just the amount of games that I missed throughout that entire time. Compared to the selection of fighting games I've had access to and tried out, this one is surprisingly simple, such as Square and X are for punching and kicking, and even though the game has a huge array of combos for each of the 8 fighters, it's not overwhelming to the concept that is Street Fighter 2, because I've seen total boards of all the commands for each character, and all of that is its own science to learn itself. But that definitely lends to it being one of the most highly professional games played, even to this day. Star Fox, of course, on the Super Nintendo, was my introduction to anthropomorphic characters within video games, yet Bloody Roar had no chance to be the successor, especially one generation later, and one console later from what was once the expansion of the Super Nintendo. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, can we even call this a hidden gem, or the obscure quality fighting game that was overlooked? According to my brother-in-law, from watching the edit last night, he said he played this in the arcade, which I didn't even know this was a port. But honestly, that is great news, because hopefully next time I go to a Dave & Buster's or a Pinball Pete's, I can be on the look for it. I just hope the game is as easy to find online as it is out on the game floor. Another fact that certifies the rarity is amongst all my friends I've known for over 2 decades, not a single one of them is familiar with this game, besides my brother-in-law. So, with all you loyal, passionate followers, my goal is to bring this game to the light, and especially to your attention, as, like me, I'm sure you're very unfamiliar with it. The only negative thing to take from this point is the fact this game was not released on the PlayStation Store, so not compatible with any consoles from PS3 onward. This could be because the game has had multiple publishers through the franchise, not just this one, which include Activision, Virgin Interactive, and even Konami. With the amount I've played, I haven't adapted to this game all that well, but unlike many of the fighting games I've played, including Pokken Tournament, Bloody Roar feels really accessible, because learning your basic moves and then building that into combos is really just a great flow in adapting to this gameplay. I don't have much to compare it to in some of the bigger fighters, even modern day Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, but still, as old as it is, it plays really well. One of the characters, Yugo seeks to uncover the truth about his father's death, who is under mysterious circumstances. His name is Yugi, by the way, and Gato, a friend of his father, is looking for the same thing, who the true villain is, and why his friend was killed for it. Mitsuko is a mother from Japan, seeking out her kidnapped daughter. Lone Runaway Long is known for assassinations without the use of weapons. Alice is a 17-year-old escapee of a zoanthrope experiment facility, while Greg is a former yet passionate ringleader from a circus. Hans was abandoned as a child in the slums. He's now involved in both murder and kidnapping and part of the same group as Bakuru. Honestly, his design looks more like a kangaroo, and it would not be the last time a Vulpes looked more like a Macropus. Last in the roster is of course Bakuru, with an ID veiled in secrecy. No one even knows his age, but that is much like the actual shinobi in history. And as the Pokemon fan I am, I can't ignore the resemblance between him and Excadrill. Now that we're here, I might as well put it out there. Pokemon is about interacting with the creatures that make up the world, while another franchise, Digimon, is about binary-based creatures making contact with this reality, for the better, or definitely the worst. With this pandemic nearing to a close, I do recommend this game to everyone, Not just anthropomorphic fans, but even just fighting fans and gamers as a whole. Yeah, it can only appeal to a small demographic, but that doesn't change the quality, not one bit.